let's try this little, I want to call it the brain, but I know it's polarity, sort of a polarity diagram it looks like, but I'm going to call it the brain. So let's fiddle with this brain. What do you get when you combine an enthusiastic community of gearheads with a small string section? You get pocket strings. I've been waiting with bated breath at this release from Crow Hill. They've been teasing it for weeks now, and I received a demon drop, they called it, in my inbox a few days ago. They got me right out the gate with Demon Drop because I love his Dark Materials. It's a great series. If you haven't read it or watched it, either way, check it out. But I am keen to know more about this string library. So why don't we dive in and see what's waiting for us? So I've already pulled up 2 instances of pocket strings and a couple of vaults tracks here because I think I want to make a little cue today, a little song out of this. So we'll kind of see what happens with that. But let's check out pocket strings first. All right, so already we've got this awesome interface. Crow Hill did this big rebrand, and this looks spectacular. Looks like there's a couple different functions here that I haven't really become familiar with before. So it looks like they may be obvious, but let's check them out. Okay, so already you're getting that quality that is unparalleled. It's so obvious that they put a lot of time and energy into this. Those samples are crisp. They've got great air in them, some wonderful top end. So let's see what we've got. These are the functions here. So it looks like they've got this sort of modulation function here. Maybe that causes the sample to filter or waver. Or let's check it out. Okay, so yeah, that's awesome. I can see some real life being brought to a track with just that simple click. It can remove a lot of that automation that we might naturally want to plug in. So I love that. That's great. Let's try this little, I want to call it the brain, but I know it's polarity, sort of a polarity diagram it looks like, but I'm going to call it the brain. So let's fiddle with this brain. So as I go towards that orchestral part of the brain, you get this lush spectrum. As I go towards the epic analog, I'm getting a little more of that tinny, and I mean that in a good way, sort of behavior. And then down to vintage synth, it's a little fuzzier, which is really nice. It reminds me of kind of that FM synth energy, just a little bit. And let's see what this bass button, how powerful that might be, because I have a feeling I can guess what that's going to do for us. So let's go off. Okay, let's go on. So a wonderful amount of low end there. It just goes right under that string part, doesn't dominate, and I just love that. I think that makes it a lot easier to bust out cues when you really need them sometimes, right? So I'm not going to dabble too much in these presets and things and these functions. We'll unpack those as we go here, making a track. But maybe I'll look at just one or two more. Let's see if anything sticks out to me out the gate. Ain't That Swell? Okay, what does Ain't That Swell give us? Okay, yeah. So some very lovely movement there. I really like how it doesn't punch you in the face, but it gives you just enough of that swell to make a point. Well, what do we got next here? Game show, play hard. Play hard. What does that give us? Oh, okay. 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 That brain there might be really fun to automate with. I can see how someone might use that to modulate that sound throughout a track. Could be really interesting to experiment with. All right, so we got a little taste of this new instrument. Let's jump in, let's make something out of it and see what happens. So I think what I want to do is I want to start with our default because I really liked how that sounded. Well, there's quite a few little presets here. That's great. And of course, you can save your own, which is awesome. Now, what do I want to pull together here? It's kind of fun. Okay. I think I can rock with that. What tempo do we want to set here? I think something slow. Yeah, I like to just see if I can find a tempo right out the gate and maybe introduce an expectation for how long I want this piece to go. Let's just say a minute for now. Okay, so let's throw something in there. There we go. it's too slow. Yeah, so I like that. I think it's a good start for us. Let's pick that idea apart a little more and see if we can find a tune out of that. Okay. Now that we've got that piece there, I think what I'm going to do is, let's use these instances of vaults. And what do I want to pull out of this? I think I want to grab studio drums. So if you don't know about vaults, it's this really cool set of instruments that Crow Hill releases regularly. So what they'll do is they'll put a new one in the mix and then take the oldest one out. And while those active ones are in the mix, they are completely free. The Crow Hill company recently kind of changed this model a little bit. So all of the older instruments that they've taken out in the past are now available for just a small donation, and they give that money to a charity called Love Music in the UK, because they're a UK-based company. So worth checking out, and I'll show you today how these things sound. They're really awesome, really versatile pieces of kit. So let's take a look at the studio drums there, and then I think what I want this amp bass. And then I think we'll just see what happens from there. I might go for one of these synths and see. Well, let's just see what they sound like. Interesting. Maybe we should dabble with some bass first. So I think, you know what I'm going to do is just copy this down here and then noodle with it a little bit. Okay, I think I'm just going to start with the bass there. And maybe let's throw some drums at this and see what those can add. So studio drums here, really great plugin. Gives you all the little modifications you need pretty well. I usually like to add on any of these cases some of my own plugins that I like, but you know, if you just want to throw something together, these have you covered for sure. So let's see. All right. Okay, so that's a good starting point again. Really, we're just building blocks here. We don't know what we're doing yet. Yeah, I'm not digging that for this. What do I want? I think I want it to... Maybe I'll focus on the bass a little bit here. Okay, so I think what I want to do is I want to throw this little bass into overdrive with some fuzz. Contradicting myself there in my words, but that's okay. What do we get? Just not getting it. Okay, here we go. getting some sort of cure energy from this now that I explore it more, which, is a good thing, I think, because I do love the cure. Okay, so I'm really milking that cure vibe at this point. Not necessarily what I intended, but I mean, what do you do? That's sometimes just how the cookie falls on your plate. Oh, do we want a choir in this? Do we want to get real weird? I don't know. Let's see what happens. All right, let's experiment a little bit with this one. I think I might do something scandalous and put the reverb right on these drums here. Just to see what it's like. Well, that's not what I want. I feel like I'm losing the reins on this song a little bit, but maybe I can reel myself back in. Okay, so I think I've got enough going on here that I'm happy to cap it off. Let's just kind of listen back and see how it sounds. It's not maybe exactly what I would land on for a project, but it's a good little test of this new tool, which I'm really excited to use in a bunch of different applications and explore it more. But I think this is a good start. So let's listen back and see how this came together. Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I think that's a good place for us to stop before we get too ahead of ourselves. Because, I could go at this all day. But I think that's really cool. It's kind of like listening to The Cure underwater, maybe. I love what I was able to pull out of this new tool, and I can't wait to see what else becomes of it as I go along. So big shout out to Crow Hill. Thank you so much. And I can't wait to see what you guys come up with, because this thing is really, really cool. As they say, like and subscribe, click that bell notification, and tell me in the comments, what would you do with this plugin? How would you have changed this piece? What do you think of this piece? I want to hear from you. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Bye now.